Hi, this is Dr. Bob with Carolina Value Pet Care. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, dermatology. As you well know, or many of you know, the only sort of medical service we offer at our clinics is going to be on skin conditions, allergies, ear problems, and so I love this subject. So Becky's going to be leading the discussion today, and so let's get into it.
Dr. Bob, what is dog dermatitis?
So dermatitis, quite simply, is the inflammation or the irritation of skin. Couldn't be more simple than that. So inflammation or irritation of the skin. We have a term called dermatology. Dermatology is the study of skin conditions.
What is food allergy dermatitis and how is it treated?
Yeah, so food allergy dermatitis is one of the more common, probably the third most common type of allergy that we see. And it actually is going to be a reaction, or what we call an adverse food reaction, which is primarily from the main protein in the diet that's causing skin problems for your pet. The most common skin problems that we see are going to be biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, primarily the face, around the feet, the armpits, up around the ears, and in many cases around the back half of the body, more the groin area or around your dog's tail end. So that's going to be the more common presentation of a food allergy. The more common causes for food allergies, the two most common are going to be chicken and beef.
What is flea allergy dermatitis and how is it treated?
Flea allergy dermatitis is actually quite simply is an adverse reaction or reaction to the flea bite that causes your dog to have excruciating biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, hair loss, developing sores. So I want to make this really clear, just because the dog has fleas does not mean that they actually have an allergic reaction to the flea bites. So every dog's going to bite and scratch and chew because of the fleas. But when we see these dogs coming in with hair loss, with the sores, with their where their skin's red and raw, those are the dogs that actually have a true flea allergy, what we call flea allergy dermatitis. So understand that not every dog that has fleas is going to actually have that intensive reaction, but those are the dogs that do have that adverse reaction. Those dogs are really suffering a lot of discomfort.
What is contact allergy dermatitis and how is it treated?
So contact allergy dermatitis, we don't see as much of that as we do the other forms of allergies that we see. Contact allergies are going to be primarily from either some sort of a material or a plant that can cause an adverse or reaction to the skin. I think primarily of dogs that are drinking water or eating out of a plastic or a stainless steel bowl. So in which case we actually like to or recommend going to a ceramic bowl. We're going to generally see dogs with a lot of irritation around the face or the nose or the chin. Those are common areas where a contact allergy dermatitis to the feeding bowls will show up. Plants can also be responsible for contact allergens, but we think of people with like a poison ivy. Obviously, we see like a bad rash. It's possible to see that on a dog, but we generally don't see it nearly as often as we do in people.
What dog skin conditions are transmittable to other pets and people?
Yeah, really, there's two things that are going to come to mind in every situation that every veterinarian's got to be kind of aware of because, again, the public health concern, especially when you have children around. So the first one we're always going to give consideration to is going to be ringworm. Now, ringworm is not a worm. The name is misleading. It's actually caused by a fungus. So kids can pick up ringworm from another, like a classmate at school. But a lot of times we'll see it more commonly in cats than in dogs. So you find a kitten on the side of the road or a litter of kittens, and you bring them home. And after a couple of days, we start getting little places on our skin, like little, tiny little, like red rings on our skin. And then we start looking, and usually you'll see on a kitten or adult cat, but more commonly on kittens, areas of hair loss on the kitten. It could show up on the face, it could show up anywhere on the body. But it is caused by a fungus. Now, unfortunately, they can be a bit of a nuisance to try to manage or to eliminate, but that's going to be the more common type of skin condition that can be transmitted. The other one is actually called sarcoptic mange. We don't see a lot of it. Unfortunately, it's very easy to treat. Unlike ringworm, which can be a real nuisance, sarcoptic mange, but it is highly contagious. It's caused by a tiny little mite or insect that lives in the skin. but it can go back, it can be spread from our pets, our dogs primarily. We don't really see it so much in cats, but our dogs may get it, transmit it to us. And likewise, we can spread it to another family member. But you need that close contact for it to be transmitted because it is a mite in the skin. Easy to treat, that's the good news. But those are always going to be the first two considerations. They're going to be ringworm or sarcoptic mange.
Why is my dog so itchy and chewing on their skin?
Gosh, lots of reasons. So I'm going to think in terms of what we do and the pets that we see coming in. So itchy dogs, lots of reason for itching, but I'm going to kind of break down the four primary causes. Seasonal allergies are going to be the most common cause. And that's going to be certain times of year. Pollens from certain plants are actually going to be triggering an allergic reaction. These are the same types of plants that actually cause people to have allergies. But in people, we think of upper respiratory conditions, runny eyes, runny nose, sinus headaches. But with dogs, we get biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, and ear problems. The second most common cause we're going to see are indoor or what are called environmental allergens, and that's going to be primarily from house dust, dust mites, molds, and mildews. Next is going to be food allergies. Food allergies are going to be primarily chicken or beef. There are other potential causes for chicken and beef are the two primary triggers for food allergies that can also make your dog really itchy. And then the last one is going to be flea allergies. Now, flea allergies, of all these I just mentioned, flea allergies are typically the most intensely itchy for your pet. But the good news is it's also the easiest to get rid of because it just takes appropriate and actually effective flea control. So easy to get rid of, but these pets, dogs and cats alike, with flea allergies are totally miserable.
Is dermatitis stressful for my dog?
Absolutely can be. Just depends on the intensity. But again, think about that dog that just kind of licks its feet every now and then. Probably not too stressed by it, and you're not too bothered by it. But think about that dog where they're constantly biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, certain times of the year in particular, and where you're having to turn around every few minutes and you feel stop, stop, stop. Well, you can imagine if it bothers you, you can imagine how much your dog is bothered by it. And think about this too, if you had poison ivy, gosh, you can imagine how intensely itchy it is. Are you miserable from it? You bet you are. So imagine that same intensity of itching going on continuously from allergies, or dogs with sarcoptic mange, or dogs with flea allergies, or seasonal allergies, where these dogs are just constantly biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, nonstop, 24/7. So sometimes we will throw some Benadryl or something. Not recommending that you do that because it doesn't work for most dogs, but you can try it, and at least that kind of sort of chills them out a little bit, so they can at least get a little bit of temporary relief. So imagine the intensity of the itching, how uncomfortable you would be. Your dog's experiencing the same thing. So hopefully that'll give you a brief overview. We're going to do a deeper dive into more about the skin problems for dogs. But yeah, believe me, we see so many dogs with skin conditions. We're here to help. Come to one of our clinics if you've got itchy dogs that are biting, scratching, licking, itching, chewing, or ear problems, and we'll see if we can give them the relief they need. Thanks for joining us.